Hi, I'm Kamaksha Musunuru. I'm an open source software evangelist and also a full stack web developer. I'm also an academic of data science and analytics. In my previous video, I've explained how to deal with data structures using JavaScript inside Chromium development tools. In this video, I'm going to talk about the control flow. Control flow is one of the important aspects related to programming languages because the real decision making, the real processing happens only with the help of control flow. So this control flow enable the programmer to define his or her logic and which will be used to process the data. When we refer to control flow, actually we mean, control flow deals with two very important programming statements. There are many programming statements which we deal when we are practicing the control flow, but there are two very important statements we also call literals inside a programming language. They are if statement and first statement. So if statement is useful to check a condition and then proceed forward to implement the logic. There are two scenarios for if statement, true and false. If the condition is true, then do something. If the condition is false, then do something else. So this is actually the logic involved in if statement. Coming to the first statement, it is used for iterations, which means a block of logic can be implemented for every iteration. So repeated things, we call them as looping a particular block of logic for a number of times or maybe periods. So these are actually these are the two very essential statements which falls under the control flow and which is used for decision making in different scenarios. Okay, let me first explain the if statement. So dealing with if statement inside JavaScript is very easy, and this is just actually a scripting language. Okay, we don't need to deal with classes just like in Java, but here, so if and then a condition, this is actually the condition, okay, and then a block of this is a block, so we can just write anything inside that. Okay, so I would like to explain this if statement with the help of a scenario. What I'm going to do is I am going to create an object of the class date, which is a default class available inside JavaScript, and I will use the if statement, if else statement, if statement together with else if and else blocks. This is called nested if. Okay, to check if the given date is today or not, something like that. So first let me define date is equal to new date. So this date is actually the date object. Okay, the class of the date object, this is an object, this is a class. Okay, and then when I press okay, so it is already there. So let me take let d is new date. So because already now d is actually date object. So this is a kind of the enter date is now when I can retrieve the information, all this information. This is just an information which is collected from this right bottom side of my computer. If you see, there is time and date, and the same thing. This literally is actually this result. The D actually has the information of my system date and time. Okay, get day. And this is just going to, this is today is 4. D get month. And today is February. We are in February. It should be 2, but actually the index, January refers to, in JavaScript, January refers to 0, February 1, and something like that. So if we want to handle that, I don't know, for unknown reasons, it is JavaScript is manufactured in that way. So this is actually February. We need to add 1 to get the present month, the numeric value of the present month. Now for year, get. If you use year, then you're just going to get a number. See, for the proper, to get the year in proper fashion, we need to use full year. That is actually. So this is actually the required information for me to check the condition for whether the given date is today or not. What I'm going to do, I'll just create a variable called td, and this is just going to have get day. Okay, day. Now what is this td? This td is actually the okay 4, which means the today, that is 04. Now if okay this td is equal to date d dot get day, that is then print log it is today. Okay, close the block, and then else if td is less than d get day, then that should be okay print, then it should be yesterday. Okay, and then close the block, else just print it is tomorrow, something like that. Okay, just don't care, this is a bullshit example. Now today td is 4, that is why it is printing. Let me change td as 3, and then again go back, and it is yesterday, and now td is 5, then it should be tomorrow, it is tomorrow, something like that. So this is all about if statement. Now let me explain you how to deal with for loop. So there are different ways to use the for loop. We can use for loop just like the for loop we use in Python. Like say for example, let me create I already have some list. I can list change is also there. There are 2 lists in my workspace. I just created that. It is not a list actually, it is an array. In JavaScript we refer a list. A list is Python jargon, but in JavaScript Python's list is referred as array. In actually it is an array. Even in Java it is an array. So for if I want to print each and every element inside this list, for I in list, okay, print I. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, and now it is 0, 1, 2, 3. That is not what we want, right? It should be list I. So this just going to print the I. So why it happens is actually, say for example, let me show you why it is printing 0, 1, 2, 3 instead of the elements inside the list, because when we press the list, you see it is an object. So this object in, I think I spoke about the objects in my previous video cast. Everything is an object inside JavaScript. You see here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are all the indices of the elements inside this list. Suppose if I want to get why JavaScript use these indices, because if I want to retrieve the elements inside this list, I need to use this indices. List 0 should be. So when we use this for loop, it is not actually printing the elements, but it is printing the indices of those elements. In order to print the elements, we should use C style for loop. Okay, where I is equal to 0, I less than list length, so which is actually one of the attributes available from the list, and then I plus plus. Okay, and then so this I, and then I want to print list I. So each time this I changes from 0 to the till the length of, and now I want to print this. Okay, console log list I, and then close the block. Now you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have another list. to make you believe me, so, to avoid you to think that I'm doing some gimmicks. So I'll use this list change instead of list. Okay. So here list change another object, list change I. So now can somebody infer what is going to happen? It is just going to, because in list change we have alphabets, not the numbers. So here it may be confusing because both the indices and the elements inside the list are numbers. So there is every possibility that I may be confusing you. Now here there is no confusion because the elements are alphabets and indices are, you see the indices are numbers. So now if you guess appropriately, we are going to press alphabets, not the indices. Okay, for indices of that, we don't need indices for I in list change. Okay, and then console log I. This will get the indices of that list change. Okay, fine, good. So what is this confusion? Why do we need to have the indices, and why do we need to have, why JavaScript is going to arrange? Imagine that you have some object. Okay, for example, let's say for example I have employees. I create an object employees, which is going to be an object of objects. Say for example, which is going to be the list of objects. Okay, sorry. Let employees is going to be the list of objects. F name is actually some name, don't worry. L name is some alphabet, don't worry. Right now, this is my name, Kamrakshaya Masnuru. Let me close this object, and then I'll make another object. And this is actually, let me copy this, and now the F name is Y, and the first name is, that is, and again I'll copy something else. I call yes, and here again I copy one last time, and here it is just going to be something like that, just to make a kind of now let me close this list of the objects. Now I got the a list of the objects, an array of the objects. Now how are we going to deal with this? Suppose if I use employees, and you see it will show me the length and all, everything, that's okay, fine. In employees I got F names. Okay, so this is actually not the JSON. Employees, if I use F name, it is not possible for me. Okay, I can't get the, so I should use for I in employees. Okay, and then console log, so log I. Let me see what's going to happen. These are indices. Why? Because the very first index is going to be, the object, first object has the index number 0, and so employees, if I go for 0, now it is going to be, employees, the first name, 0 first name is K. Now I want all the first names. Okay, this is actually the, so we are going to, suppose if I am going to, instead of 0, if I put 1, that is going to be the second, it is going to retrieve the information or the data from the second object, right or not? So if we can iterate this number, it is possible for us to go for let I is equal to 0, I less than employees length, okay, I plus plus. Now let me start the block, console dot log, and now what do we need? This one. So let me copy this and paste it here. Instead of 1, I put it as I, because every time I changes, that is just going to print the first name of the employees. you say K, Y, S, S, B, something like that. And I can also change the logic for L name, if that is the it is just going to the M, 4 M's. So all of them have the same you know surname. That's why it's just showing me the. And now if I want to console log plus L name and F name. Okay, now let's see what's going to happen. We got 4 MYs. Oh no, yeah, I think I did a mistake. It should be I. Cannot be 1, it should be I. Now you see you got so I can still make a much more better way, like an empty string and then plus. So this time should be able to. So this is the last name, first name, something like that. So in this way we can use the loops as well as if state conditional statements inside Java loop in order to organize our logic in the script. Thanks for watching this video. Please stay tuned for the new content. Subscribe to my video channel. Kindly like my video cast. Thanks once again.